when you go visit that vision, you embody that.
Let's talk about the faith. Do you believe?
You are equipped for your assignment. We as Black women tend to be extra superwoman.
She did that.
Okay, elevators, this is for you. If we're not practicing what we preach, listen.
After you pray, after you meditate,
Take a step.
look at the source.
Yes.
Look at the source of your strength.
Thank you. I believe every day is a great day because this is the day the Lord has made.
Why are we so afraid to use what God has given us? Wow.
It all starts in the mind.
Yes.
That was just a little weird, but
Don't be tardy for the party. Come on, Nike, just do it.
That's a whole word, Tammy.
that's the whole episode.
Oh my God. Happy Wednesday, ladies.
Happy Wednesday.
Oh my God. Is it hot enough outside for y'all?
Oh my God. And do you know it's crazy because it's not even like it's going to stay hot.
Listen.
It's like a few days from now, it's going to be back in the 50s.
That's how it is at home. And so we're not the only ones who bipolar, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because it rains, then it get hot, then it get cold, and then we do it all over again.
Do it all over again.
Lord. Thank you.
Whatever. Exactly.
It's no more putting away seasonal clothes. It's like you just keep everything in the closet.
Year round. We're going to wear it year round.
I am loving it. I'm a hot girl. Hot girl.
You a hot girl. She a hot girl.
Oh my God, Meg the Stallion, you got a hottie over here.
I hung around too many millennials.
Clearly, but she know what's going on, y'all.
Yes.
But welcome to the She Elevates podcast, where we help women fulfill their life purpose through elevation in holistic empowerment.
Yes, we do.
Ladies, we're doing something a little bit different this time. We're actually going to interview someone. So elevators, if we screw up a little bit, please don't charge it to us, okay?
We're super excited.
But we are going to do an interview, and all of us is going to try to wing it. Okay.
We got this.
So, Tammy, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Let's get it started. Absolutely. Well, as you all know, there are 4 of us here today.
Yes.
Typically, there's it's Gail. All right. Our self-development. What's your
Personal development.
Personal development, right?
Yes.
I'm your spiritual motivator, Tammy, and Jessica is our financial advisor. And we have someone else with us.
Yes.
And so we actually chosen this very special young lady. And I don't want to give too much away because I really know her, right? Been knowing her since she was like yay high. I know her mom, her family, they are great. But I do have with us, or we have with us, a beautiful friend, beautiful woman, Abigail Bradley.
Oh, well.
Soon to be doctor, but we'll get into that later. So we're going to jump right in here. Abigail, welcome to our She Elevates
Thank you so
podcast.
much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes. So, I guess you're like, why am I here? You know what? I thought about you. Gail and I, we're thinking about, right, and guests and who would we want to bring here with us. Who's done something that we thought the other elevators could be inspired from?
Right.
Of course, your name came to mind. Right. So I'm so grateful that you were available, that you were here with us. And I'm not going to share your story. You're going to share your story, right? So I'm going to first ask you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. You can give us, your name, your age, where you live, and all that stuff. At a very high level.
Not your address, though. We don't want nobody knocking at your door, okay?
Unless you want people to come visit. I mean, it's up to you.
Hey, but you can use those social media addresses, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
We say social media handles. I love you, Tammy.
She's teaching us.
Teach me, girl. Yes, Abigail, do. Give us a little bit
Sure.
about
So first, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate this. And my name is Abigail Bradley. I am 26 years old. I'm born and raised in DC, but
Yes.
when high school came around, my family moved to the Upper Marlboro area.
Okay.
So I live right on the road near Six Flags.
Oh, okay. Right off Central Avenue.
I passed that the last time I was up here, right?
Yes, you know exactly what that
I
is.
never know
Jen.
the street names.
I didn't know Six Flags was up here.
Jessica's actually from Alabama.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Flies
thought
up every month to do this.
Wow.
Isn't that
So
amazing?
it's like
that is amazing.
It's like a monthly field trip for me. So.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, welcome. That's awesome.
Okay, so you're 26 years
Yes,
old.
yes.
Baby.
Yeah. And again, for me, Abigail, and I'll just say this, I'm so inspired by your educational journey.
Yes.
So can you elaborate a little bit about where you are in that space of education, how you got there? Tell us a little bit of that story.
Sure. So I knew from, I would say, a young age that my calling and purpose was in medicine. So I did know that. I just simply asked God at a young age, and he revealed that to me in that moment. So while I kind of grew up from there, I've never forgotten it. It might not have been at the forefront of my mind at the time, maybe like 15, but I still knew, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. So around the time that, you finish high school and then you go to college, okay, well, it's time that you look in science and look in STEM. And a lot of women are entering STEM, specifically STEM subjects, which stand for science, technology, engineering, and math. So I knew I was in that range. I actually started at Howard University, my mother's alma mater. So that wasn't my first choice. I wanted to go far away, but it's fine. I actually learned so much from being, at that school and starting in that experience. So from there, there was a financial crisis that occurred at that university that I had to then seek out, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to transfer to another American school, or what am I going to do to get on the path that I know I need to start to become a physician? So I came across a school that's actually outside of the United States. It's in Curacao. I don't know if you guys heard of the ABC Islands. It's Aruba, Bonaire, and then Curacao.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's off the coast.
I've heard of Curacao, but I had no idea where it was.
I didn't hear of it either when I first came there. So yeah, it's a small island. It's off the coast of Venezuela, and it's near Haiti, and it's a pretty interesting place. But it was like such a hidden gem to me.
Wow.
So there's a university there that I was able to finish the undergraduate prerequisites that I needed, and then start into the medical school. Those the entire program is 5 years, I'll say. So the first 2 years for me were completing what I needed for undergraduate, and then starting the last 3 years were my medical degree. So right now I am a third year medical student, and I have 1 year left until graduation.
Wow.
So that's the current state I am.
Kudos.
Thank you.
Amazing. So you knew at a very young age.
15, you said, right?
I would say around 7, around 15.
7 years old.
Yeah, 12 to 15. I was like, oh, I want to go to, Hollywood and be a star. I mean, I was just thinking that because I just wanted to be famous.
Okay, so that sounds like my 7-year-old granddaughter.
Right. I wasn't actually, but over time I was reminded, oh no, you knew at this age what you're really supposed to do, despite what you want to do.
Awesome. And so what is the study? When you graduate, you'll have your degree in?
I'll have a doctor of medicine.
A doctor of medicine.
Yes, a doctorate in all of medicine.
Wow.
But you have a specialty, right?
Yes. My specialty, I'll say it slow.
Okay.
A lot of
That's
times it's pediatric cardiothoracic surgery, and then hopefully pediatric neurosurgery too.
Wow.
So a combination of the top 2 specialties in the hospital, which is a little nerve-wracking, but it's something I think, especially as a woman, I can kind of begin to tackle.
Awesome.
Wow.
This is wonderful. So can you elaborate a little bit on that pediatric
Cardiothoracic.
Absolutely.
Y'all figured it out. I'm gonna have to.
I wrote it down.
pediatric
cardiothoracic
Surgery. Yes.
about that.
So that's just I can actually explain it backwards.
Okay.
Surgery on the heart and lungs in children.
Okay.
So that's there's a lot of congenital diseases. I actually was a child of a congenital disease. Well, in a way, I'll say it this way. A miracle occurred in my life.
Okay.
Where my mother was 32 when she was pregnant with me. So when she had an amniocentesis, it's kind of when they take a sample of the yolk sac and see, okay, based on your current stage, based on the age of the woman, is this child that you're carrying susceptible to any genetic diseases or pathologies? Pathology just means disease.
Okay.
So she did, and they found out that I could have been a child born with Down syndrome. So the nurse kind of informed my mother and my father, hey, you should abort this child. The child should not go through pregnancy, abort her because she's not going to be normal. And my mother always tells me the story. She said, my dad, she's like, that's the one time I saw your father got vividly upset. Like he really, really, really got upset at that. But he's like, no, we don't partake in that. We're going to go through the pregnancy. So they actually did. And, they prayed, they went to a church and hoped for a healthy child. And, here I am.
About to be saving so many other lives.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
When she said that, I just immediately felt
Did you feel it? Yes. You are like destined, right?
Yes.
To do this. So, but that is wonderful. And so, you will be soon Dr. Abigail Bradley.
Do you? I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I have a
Jump
quick
in.
question. Do you think by knowing that story, do you think that is what sparked you at a young age to say, I want to go into the medical field? Or what was it that sparked that thought at a young age?
So I was, we were every Friday, growing up in my home, I grew up in a home of church. I just did. My father's a pastor. I grew up in church. Now they say if they could redo it, they probably would have put us in sports. Like have a balance. But most of my days, I remember church. Mm-hmm. So before we were going to Friday night, we used to call it Friday night prayer. My mother, it was just me and her in the car. And she looked at me, she said, you need to ask God what you're supposed to do with your life. And I just looked at her and I said, I'm supposed to be a cardiologist. Like immediately. Wow. And my brother's in the back. He's like, spell it. And I'm like, you're right. I don't know how to spell it. I was like, right.
Madison and Bryce do that all the time.
Like I've never heard of that word. I promise you. I was watching Arthur and like Clifford the Big Red Dog, those cartoons, that word never would have came up. So I just really feel at that moment, God just spoke through me and said, I spoke into my destiny. I was going to do cardiology. Then over time, when I got into medical school, it became more, I would say, curated to exactly what I'm supposed to do and the exact path I'm supposed to go. But I was like, okay, you're going to be prepared to be in school for about 12 years. I had to know that at a younger age.
Yeah. Wow. That is so wonderful.
Wow.
I'm telling you, that's an amazing story. Absolutely. And I have to go back to, and I kind of fast forwarding because I want you to talk a little bit about, again, I look at it as your professional side, it's educational as well as your personal side. I want you to talk a little bit more about that. But I also want to thank you publicly because I have a cousin, Joelle, who's graduating from college in May. And you actually was very instrumental in helping her navigate. Remember, she was about to embark in her college career and, a little more of an introvert, I would say. And so I asked Abigail if she would meet with her and she would just share and talk to her about her journey. And I just want to thank you because she will be graduating in a few weeks. Yeah. So awesome. I know if Joelle was here, she would thank you as well. So yes. But you talked a little bit about your educational, the side of you and your professional educational side. I want to talk to you a little bit more personal, right? Because I think as elevators, we all go through it. Just looks like you got it all going on. I mean, from head to toe. Surely you haven't had any challenges in your life. But I believe we all have a story. My mother used to say something like, you see the glory, but you don't know the story. So can you tell us anything about yourself that you think would help us, our elevators, encourage us, any challenges, any obstacles you faced or how you've overcame those?
Sure, absolutely. My mother, I mention my mother a lot because honestly, God has spoken through her a lot in my life. So if I keep saying my mother said, because the things she said, we get it. The things she said stay in my mind. So she told me my biggest struggle would always be my name, fighting for my name. And I knew at a younger age what my name meant. My name means Father's source of joy, meaning I'm supposed to radiate joy. I'm supposed to walk in joy and spread joy to others. Well, I can assure you that is not, I'm learning now, like just starting the journey of how to do that. Because, my pastor have always said, well, the enemy will afflict you in an area where your purpose, the opposite of your purpose, so that you don't walk in it. So I've been afflicted with oppression and depression, just sadness and, not walking in, like I said, the joy and that freedom and happiness. That's something I have to fight for. So I would say, I mentioned I received is that okay? If this is okay to share, is not okay. Absolutely. I received the intake form and I did mention on the form that during that time, because I was going through, my church, we started like this season of deliverance from your past. So in that time, my whole past was on my mind. So I'm writing and I receive a question. Well, what's the most important challenge or something that you went through? And I did specifically point out recovering from a relationship or just friendships or just bad connections in general that I felt in that time could have hindered me from my destiny. So it was so huge to me because I'm like, if I didn't receive deliverance from this, the entire story I just shared with you all, the end result might not have happened. This was when you're on the other side and you're going through deliverance of it, you're looking at it like, whoa, God literally came down and brought me out of a horrible pit of destruction to the one thing that I wanted the most, which is my career and the one thing I know he has for me, because I know there's so many doors that will open for me in my life when I step into that goal and that purpose, all could have been removed from me and hindered from me during that situation. And just looking back on it, realizing that the enemy has been really trying to come for that in my life for a long time, just by making sure I was never born, killing me in my life. I mean, I could have been dead. There's a lot of things I could have gone through to stop that one purpose and one thing. So it's been a huge wake up call. But furthermore, I would say right now, I'm going through the biggest challenge I've ever endured. And realizing I was listening to the intro for this, because, I asked I would say 2 days ago, I was like, well, God, what do you want me to say? I need you to speak through me. I don't know what you want me to talk about. And then my mother says, well, the Lord is instant in season. So the hour that you need to say it, he will reveal to you what you need to say. So I'm sitting here and I believe it was your voice that I actually heard on the intro. I'm not sure it was that said, why are we so afraid to use what God has given us? That is my biggest challenge right now. I would say, even as I am in school, my parents keep telling me it's in you. The everything you need is in you. And I'm looking on the outside of me for all of this direction and all of these things. And I'm like, why, Lord, why can I not connect to what you put in me? I can do it freely in other situations, but the one area I need it most is just struggling. Like I'm kind of like, I feel like kind of blank in mind. So that is my process of discovery at this point. And I think when I become really good at that, I'll be able to, I'll know for a fact I have, because I would have graduated by then, because I need to get to that level. Yeah, I really do.
I will tell you, for me, you are there. You are, the way you're articulating your story, of course, where your journey, right? And that's why you're here. So shout out to your mom. I know her, right? Okay, Kim, you've done well here. So that's awesome. I love it. And you said, I like the fact that you talk about your name means, right, Father's source of joy, yes. And how the enemy will fight you against your destiny. Yeah. It is like with oppression and depression and all these things. Yes. You're like, So, but you've overcome those things. And I guess for what I'm hearing is you just keep pushing, right? You have the positive influences, right? Your mother's speaking to you. You have the relationship with God inside. You're hearing that still small voice to let you know it's okay. It's okay. You got it. You got it.
And it's almost like we always want things to be perfect.
Yeah,
and because we have things planned out for our lives. Yes. But, like E.T. stated before, like the mission stays the same. The plan may change, but the mission always stays the same. Yeah. And so when we want everything to be perfect, we have to take that step back. And like Tammy just stated, it's about the journey. The beauty is never in the destination. It's the journey, because like everything that you've been through thus far in life, you're able to sit down with us now and talk about it. And as we advertise this, you share your story with so many other people who could be probably going through a journey right now, but they look at you now and say, okay, she went through XYZ and she's still here. Yeah. Like, let's just keep going. Absolutely. Not saying obstacles aren't going to approach us.
Because they will.
But we will overcome.
Yeah.
We will.
And my 2 cents is you talked about, when are you going to be able to use what's already in you instead of looking for outside validation? Well, I think you're there because you sound like a very introspective person, and you're always considering what your mother said and, what different people, what they poured into you, and you react based on that. So I think perfection is what you're doing. You're doing this journey and you're looking at what you have internally to do, you know, what you have to do. So I think you're looking for something that's already there.
And I know you've heard that right
Yeah.
over. And so we're just here to validate and co-sign that. You know, because
Yes.
we are really church girls, okay? We're all church girls.
I think everybody in the world is a church person.
Okay, we're all God's children. I don't know about church girls.
Exactly.
See, church girls is a different story. That means you kind of went to church. But God's children, they may not all be in the... Okay, we're not talking about that.
Absolutely, 'cause I
digress.
don't even consider myself a
digress.
church girl, but definitely one of God's children.
She went to church, y'all. Okay, that's all
I
I'm
did.
saying.
I did.
That's all I'm saying. But anyway, back to Abigail. I agree with Gail.
Yes.
Your story. You are
doing
there. You are doing it. That journey. And you know what's so funny? Because I will tell you what you're saying. We all struggle with. We all deal with, I should say, knowing, or you know, whether we're good enough, or are we saying the right thing.
imposter
We're
syndrome.
looking. Oh yeah, that's it. That the imposter syndrome. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So that's to me a normal part of life, right? And you know, so you just kind of embrace it, okay, and you keep moving. It's like I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. What your mother say in that moment in the
that
season.
moment. And we were just talking about this morning how it's good to talk about things because sometimes we can be fooled into thinking we're the only ones going through something and having those challenges.
Yes.
But they're so common when you start talking about it. When you start talking about it, yes.
Because I don't know. I've been in the rooms with like CEOs of companies, and I thought like I was the only one who was feeling like that imposter syndrome. I was like, oh, they feel it too. They experience that too. Yes. So I can keep enduring that. I just need to get my millions.
And just keep going forward as you do.
And
Just keep moving forward.
And that's why we have this podcast, right? Because, you know, I love this t-shirt here, the saying, your girlfriend's favorite podcast. It's about the sisterhood. It's about your friends. It's about the females that can embrace, understand, appreciate, right? The journeys that we each are on, right? So again, I'm just so excited again for you being here.
Yes.
I do want to ask you this. So if you had to share with us, maybe, you know, like, I would say it sounds like I don't want to answer it, but someone that you would like to shout out. I'm going to say it like that, or a role model, right? I'm hearing a lot about your mom. And if that's okay, if that's who it is, right? But someone that has been instrumental, I think influential in your life, in your journey, who would that be and why?
Could it be more than one person?
Absolutely.
Okay. I would definitely say, above all, Jesus, for sure. And my family, for sure. My family. And I would like to throw my friends in there too, because like this, when they speak, I learn from their lives as well. So definitely. But, you know, you'll hear me talk a lot about my mother because we get in the car, we drive, and we just talk and talk. And she shares so much. And, you know, and my father, I definitely a lot to my father because he's the cornerstone of my family. He really saw it spiritually to be a man of God, to set the foundation to which my family sits on. And, you know, anytime, you know, if I get confused on, you know, well, should I keep pursuing this with God? Should I keep doing that? I look at his life and I'm like, yeah, you need to, because to get that honor that he walks in at his age was not given. It was earned. And, you know, it's really a reflection of his walk with God and how he allows there's this term, the flesh, how he allows that to be broken and to just bring all of him to the Lord, and for the Lord to, when he gives him back, to be made. And I learn that every time I look at him. He's just a huge example to me spiritually, and, you know, someone that I really would like to aspire to and get to his level. I really do.
Shout out to Dad.
You know, you're taking me back, and I would share this because I first met Abigail. I don't know if you were 5 years old, 6, I don't know. We have to ask your mom. But we all went to church together. And so she was a very young, I mean, like a little, you know, tiny toddler there, just with so much joy. So when you said that, I'm like, that's what I remember. It was the joy that you had as a child, and also the wonderful family that you had. You would see that family together, your mom, your dad, your brothers. So I'm so proud of you, so appreciative that you are here to share your journey with us. And, we're ready to congratulate you already for next year, when you will have your degree and you will be on to just bigger and better things, saving lives, right? So, any other questions, lady?
For her.
Yeah.
I'm excited for her because I can just tell by her story, the way that she's talking,
It's
like
amazing
how
story.
many other people you're going to actually touch with your story.
Yeah.
So, especially from the fact, I'm sorry, these lashes.
Oh, right.
But girl, they look good.
Let's take a picture.
Beauty cost on it.
I'm telling you.
She's like, okay. But just from her story from beginning to end, when you were still in the womb, he's been after you, but you keep overcoming.
Yes.
So I just know, like, when you come back in a few months, years,
next year, right? That's when you graduate.
Speaking that into existence
Dr.
already.
Abigail.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
But when you come back, how many more lives you're gonna be in touch with your story? So
and saved.
Yeah,
I'm loving that. That's so interesting because I think about and it's Jewel's sister. Her baby sister, when she was born, had to have heart surgery. So to see this connection, how she actually mentored, right, influenced and encouraged Jewel, but knowing that her baby sister, and I went to the hospital with her when the doctor said she had to have heart surgery. And so you will be the one that will be performing that type of surgery on another baby. So I think it's exciting. And again, I just say we celebrate you. That's why we're here, to celebrate you. But you are not only, a light, but I think, as Jessica said, so many are encouraged by your story. So it's like, just keep shining. What does Brianna say? Bright like a diamond?
bright like a diamond. That's
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No.
I have a couple of follow-up questions. You had mentioned that in hindsight, your parents said that they wish they would have put you all in sports and not just had you at Friday night prayer. So do you know what that was about? Like, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think they wanted a balance for our lives. I mean, Saturday we had church, Sunday we went to church, Friday we went to church.
Is it because they feel like you missed out on some things, or just to have you a little more well-rounded?
I will say the walk with Christ started with my parents. They didn't come from that. They came from quite the opposite, and not just not going to church. I mean, a foundation that was seriously dark and tumultuous. So, just give a small snippet. My mother was raised in foster care, and I think her grandmother her mother at that time, her foster mother, had a knowledge about God, but she wasn't really brought up in church. So she dealt with like a lot of depression, a lot of addiction, went through a lot. My father, same for him, his mother, just not a very stable family at all. So my family is the first time of, I would say, breaking that curse, like deliverance, as far as like having a stable family, a father and a mother in a household, and making it last this long with children. That just happened in my generation, in my current family right now. It did not happen before in my past family. So I think when they tasted Jesus, I'll say they were like, let's go in full, heavy all the time. Looking back, I think they realized while it wasn't in vain, for our children, we still want a level of balance, because, another journey I could say is that I wasn't always at a healthy weight. I used to be like really overweight, like really chunky. And my mother forced me to be a cheerleader because she's like, you need confidence. You need to be confident in your skin. And I was like, no, I just want to sit in the back and not be seen, So I've been on that journey for a while. So I think it came from just looking back, okay, maybe we should have did a more holistic, balanced lives for our children. And, so they can experience other things and see God in those other areas and not just in the church building, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I totally get that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I know kids that were raised in church and didn't know nothing outside of church. And then when they step out into the real world and they see, it's like, what is going on?
Absolutely.
So I get it. You need that balance.
Yeah.
You need that balance.
Yes. For acknowledging that, right?
Yeah.
Any more questions, Gail?
So to that, I just want to say I appreciate your vulnerability to talk about that here, and just wanted to the elevators to know that we're all going to have different environments. We're going to come from different spaces. You talked about the tumultuous, activity before, and then 100% church. So no matter what environment you're in, you can make a decision to excel or to keep moving forward despite all that's going on, because in life, things are going to always be going on, and we're never going to have what we call the perfect situation. So I applaud you for being transparent and continuing to move forward. And you talked about the weight. I was going to talk about that too, but I think you've lost a significant amount of weight. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So you tell me what to do.
Okay, so I think I've lost a total of, I would say, 90 pounds. I think my highest weight was
Isn't that crazy?
275. Like when I weighed myself, it was 275. Yeah. And that took years. It took years. Thank you. It did not happen, overnight. But during that time, I was a sophomore in high school. So being bullied but it's like I can talk about that and I don't mind, but it's just I've been so delivered from it. And looking back on it, it's like, wow, if I could go through that again, I would. Because I didn't know that I would get this on the other side. And I didn't know that, some of the promises I even have in my future, I'm like, really? I'm like, really? Okay, let's do that again. I don't mind. It's almost like, yes, everything works together for your good. Wow. Every little thing. And I was like, okay.
That's why when people ask me, like, what is it that you regret, or do you ever have regrets? I'm like, I never have regrets.
Yeah,
because I think it's the makeup of whatever God has for you. You have to go through it.
Absolutely.
It's all about the
Can you
journey.
imagine the appreciation? Right? Sometimes we take things for granted. But when you've gone through certain things
And you look back.
and you overcome, you look back, it's like, oh my God, so you all are taking that for granted.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to tell you,
It was necessary.
I appreciate, right,
It was necessary.
where we are.
Because when our plans are always, we're looking for the easy button. But things would not have turned out the way they did had we not gone through what we went through. So I love that.
So this elevators, there you have it.
That's right. Appreciate that journey, no matter how hard it looks. But you never know how that butterfly is going to look.
And you can
when you come through that journey.
Abigail is just a testament of what you can accomplish, right? On so many levels, from spiritual, right? But for your education, then also for your physical body. So a lot of overcoming. And I just, again, celebrate you.
Yes.
Yes.